on the balloon incidents from earlier this week.
Okay.
Had you seen a story in Aviation Week that an Illinois hobby club feels like their balloon might have been a candidate for the balloon shot
I have.
a
I've
week
seen
ago?
that press reporting.
Any response to that, because it's very particular location and the last set of data that they got?
Yeah, we just can't confirm those reports or what the remains of that balloon might actually end up being, and we haven't recovered it, so it's very difficult till you can get your hands on something to be able to tell. And because of where it is over Lake Huron, I mean, we all have to accept the possibility that we may not be able to recover it.
But quick follow-on, the president said yesterday, he stood by it, that it was out of an abundance of caution. But an anecdote like this, does it make any sort of reconsideration of perhaps this was an overreaction at any point over the past week?
So I'd ask you to, just for a second, put yourself in his shoes. Especially, certainly in light of the Chinese spy balloon and what was a very real, certainly very sizable, and tangible security threat, surveillance threat to the United States in the wake of that. So the military fine-tunes their radar parameters to see more, and of course they're finding more. And you got these three, and they're unidentified, they're not responding to any kind of communication, so we don't know who owns them or what their purpose is. And they're flying in sovereign U.S. airspace. They're also at altitudes that could affect the safety of civilian air traffic, and based on the flight path and the prevailing winds, potentially moving over sensitive military sites. And the military leaders come to you and they say, Mr. President, we don't know what these are. We're concerned about what they could be and about where they could be going and what the purpose might be. And we recommend that you take these down in the interest of safety and security of the American people and out of an abundance of caution. And the president acted on that recommendation because he takes so seriously his responsibilities to protect this country, our secrets, our interests, and our people. So the short answer to your question is absolutely not. Given the situation we were in, the information available, the recommendation of our military commanders, it was exactly the right thing to do at exactly the right time. Now, going forward, and you heard the president talk about this yesterday, we're going to make sure we've got some new rules in place for how we make decisions in future circumstances. That doesn't mean, and it doesn't mean, and you heard the president say this yesterday, it doesn't mean that there won't be additional shoot-downs if he believes there's a legitimate threat to our safety and security. But it does mean that we're going to put a new set of parameters on the decision-making process going forward.
But just last follow-up on that, everything you just said, can that coexist? Let me rephrase. Was there any feeling of frustration of perhaps this was a $12 hobby balloon from a group of kids in Illinois after the fact?
Again, given the information that we had at the time, and the legitimate concerns about potential surveillance in the wake of the Chinese spy balloon, you make decisions based on the best information that you have, and ultimately you have to come down to some core principles when you're making decisions as commander-in-chief. And of course, the most core principle of all is safety and security of the American people and our interests. So again, I say to you, the short answer to that is no. And frankly, given the circumstances in light of what happened with this spy balloon, wouldn't that be a better outcome if it turns out that they were in fact civilian or recreational use or a weather balloon and therefore benign, which is what the intelligence community thinks? Isn't that a better outcome than to have to think about the possibility of greater threats to our national security?
Thanks, great. So, John, I take